South Carolina lost a lot of players during the offseason. They practically lost their whole starting five to the draft. They lost some bench players as well. This has caused many people to write South Carolina off. The consensus is that they will be decent but not good enough to compete for a national championship. Make no mistake, they are still good enough to win a national championship. Bare minimum, they will make a deep playoff run. Last year, South Carolina was hyped up as an unbeatable super team. Meanwhile, LSU had a bunch of players that no one knew about. People acknowledged LSU was good, but no one took them seriously as a title contender. The roles have reversed, and this is exactly why I think South Carolina is dangerous. No one really knows what South Carolina has and what they can do. This is a massive advantage because not every coach has the awareness to study players they don't have prior knowledge of. For example, we saw Iowa let LSU players shoot uncontested threes, even though some of those players shoot over 35% from three. Players like Chloe Kitts and Ashlyn Watkins will catch ill-prepared coaches off guard. There's two things we know for sure, though. We know South Carolina will be a menace on defense, and they are still bigger than every team. This is what I believe South Carolina's starting five will be. We will get more into the point guard situation later. I think it will rotate between many players. However, I think the other starters are pretty much set in stone. Tehina PaoPao will be at the 2. Chloe Kitts and Ashlyn Watkins will rotate between the small forward and power forward position. Cardoso will be at the center. I think everyone will play a key role for South Carolina, but I think these three players will be the most valuable. Kamila Cardoso, Tehina PaoPao, and Chloe Kitts. Gamecock fans would talk to me about Cardoso, but I would never listen. But after she dominated the AmeriCup tournament, I became a believer. The fact she made Angel Reese, one of the best players in college basketball, look like she shouldn't be on the court is scary. Aaliyah Boston's talent caused Cardoso's minutes to get limited. In the limited time she got, she averaged 10 points and 9 rebounds. This sounds unimpressive, but she only played 19 minutes per game. When you adjust for per 40, she is one of the best in the nation. Her offense and defense ratings are out of this world. Dawn Staley doesn't make many mistakes, but her underutilization of Cardoso is definitely one of them. If Dawn used Cardoso the same way Kim Mulkey used Angel Reese, Cardoso is at worst top 5. She's probably number 2 if anything. Dawn needs to instill the same aggressiveness the Brazil coach gave her. Not only is she unstoppable on offense, she is one of the best defenders in the entire country. Teams who rely on their inside game to score the bulk of their points are going to be in massive trouble. If teams try to stop Kamila Cardoso, it's going to open up the game for everyone else. Look at this Iowa possession where they practically send the entire team after her. It leaves so many teammates wide open. You can find a million examples of this happening. Just watch any South Carolina game when Cardoso is playing. Last year they couldn't take advantage of this, but now they have shooters. Which leads me into Tehina PaoPao. She shot an amazing 42% from 3 last season. This was on over 370 attempts. Cardoso will draw many double and triple teams, which means she will be wide open. For South Carolina to win the championship, she will need to hit these shots. And I believe she will. She will have so many easy looks, I wouldn't be surprised if she shoots 50% from 3. She is also a good facilitator. Ideally, someone else will run point, but I can see Dawn having her run point guard if none of the younger players are cutting it. Chloe Kitts will be the X factor for South Carolina. She is young, but is one of their most important pieces. It's very hard to find players at her height with her level of versatility. Her combination of jump shooting, ability to run the floor, and driving ability is going to make her a matchup nightmare. The shooting aspect in particular is what's going to be important. Teams will clog the paint when playing against South Carolina, and Chloe Kitts will be to get open shots. She's deadly from the mid-range, but has a decent 3. She doesn't need to be a 3-point sniper, but she needs to be able to make wide-open 3s. And I believe she will. If they get too close to her, she will take them to the rack. She's too tall for smaller guards to defend her, but she's too fast for most taller players. South Carolina's point guard situation, for a lack of a better word, is interesting. There's definitely a gap between Zia Cooke and the rest of the guards. Gamecock fans will get mad at me for this, but I'm not very high on Raven Johnson. Her tournament run was just straight up awful. The Iowa game in particular left a bad taste in my mouth. It was her best tournament game statistically, but it was because Iowa literally had their back turned to her the entire game. She's a great defender and has good mid-range, but South Carolina badly needs another 3-shooter. Brea Hall fills this role, but she's more of a 2-guard. They could run Tehina at the 1, but I think an off-ball shooter is a better use for her game. Tessa Johnson and Malaysia have high ceilings, but they are inexperienced. I think the best bet is to hope Tessa and Malaysia are good enough their rookie season to be facilitators. It's a huge thing to ask out of them, but it's been done before. I think what I like most about this team is that it forces Dawn to get more creative. I think she over-relied on the greatness of Cooke and Aaliyah Boston last year, which ultimately led to their downfall. The other players weren't ready to step up besides Cardoso, but now she will be developing several players at the same time. This will not only make them less predictable on offense, it will make them a force for years to come. Now this begs the question, how far can they actually go? This is of course assuming no major injuries. I think they finish second in the SEC, but win the SEC championship. This is because I expect them to struggle towards the beginning of the season, while LSU will be ready to go right away. I think in the worst case scenario, they make the Elite Eight. Whether or not they make the Final Four or National Championship depends on the matchups they get. One thing I want to incorporate during my team analysis series is having a matchup chart at the end of each video against other potential title contenders. If they are in the green section, that means South Carolina matches great against them and will most likely win. If they are in the yellow section, that means it's a coin flip. If it's the red section, that means I believe South Carolina will have massive problems with them. I think LSU is overall a better team than South Carolina. But in terms of a head-to-head matchup, LSU wants no smoke with them. We've already seen Cardoso embarrass Angel Reese multiple times. LSU is a team that heavily relies on their inside scoring, but South Carolina is just way too big. I think Ashlyn Watkins is tall and athletic enough to slow Anissa to a halt. Chloe Kitts and Bree Hall will be too long for Haley. I think Michaela Williams will be a massive problem for South Carolina, but she can't do it all by herself. Notre Dame is an interesting situation. Their physicality is severely lacking compared to South Carolina, but they have highly skilled guards and are great from the perimeter. It's hard to say if their skilled guard play will win or if South Carolina's size will win. South Carolina struggles with California teams. I expect that to still be true. UCLA will cause problems for South Carolina. Lauren Betts won't be able to stop Kamila Cardoso, but she can slow her down. They also have a strong outside presence. I'll explain more in depth why UCLA will be a problem at a later date. That's all I have for you. How far do you think South Carolina will go? Who do you think will be the starting point guard for them? Like and subscribe because I got more videos like this coming. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.